Commander Tejo stood on the bridge of the UES Harmony and watched the stars through the main window. 3 years had passed since the human fleet left Earth. 12 ships carried 3,000 people into deep space to find new worlds and meet new life. The mission was peaceful. They came to learn and explore, not to fight or conquer. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of computers and life support systems. Navigation Officer Hyun-woo checked their position for the 3rd time that hour. Communications Officer Bo-ram listened to radio signals from nearby systems. Chief Science Officer Min Seo studied data from their long-range sensors. Everything was normal until the sensors began to beep. Hyun-woo looked up from his station with concern on his face. "Commander, we have multiple contacts approaching fast. Very large ships, unknown design." Taeho walked to the sensor display and studied the readings. 12 massive ships moved toward them in attack formation. Each alien vessel was 3 times larger than the biggest human ship. Their hulls glowed with strange energy patterns. Weapon ports lined their sides like the teeth of some great beast. "How long until they reach us?" Taeho asked. 20 minutes at current speed, Hyun-woo replied. Bo-ram turned from her communication station. "Commander, I am getting a transmission from the lead ship. They are demanding we respond immediately." "Put it on screen." The main display flickered and showed the bridge of the alien ship. A massive creature filled the screen. Its body was covered in dark armor that seemed to be part of its skin. 4 arms ended in clawed hands. Its head was elongated, with glowing red eyes and sharp teeth. When it spoke, its voice was deep and threatening. "I am Admiral Krixval of the Veltar Hegemony. You have entered our territory without permission. Your primitive ships are now property of the Hegemony. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. You have 5 minutes to respond." The transmission ended and the screen went dark. The bridge crew looked at their commander and waited for orders. In the past 3 years, they had encountered many strange things in deep space, but nothing like this. The Veltar ships were clearly built for war. Their weapons could probably destroy the entire human fleet in minutes. Taeho opened a channel to all ships in the fleet. "This is Commander Taeho to all vessels. We have encountered an alien military force that demands our surrender. All ships maintain current position and await further orders." Captain Hae-jin of the escort ship Tranquility responded first. "Commander, their ships are much larger than ours. Our weapons would not be effective against their armor. Should we prepare to run?" "Negative. Hold position." Captain Jamin from the science vessel Serenity spoke next. "Sir, my sensors show they have enough firepower to destroy us easily. Perhaps we should try to negotiate." "All ships maintain radio silence," Taeho commanded. "No transmissions to the alien fleet, no movement. All engines to idle power. All weapons remain offline." The communications officer looked confused. "Commander, what are your orders if they attack?" Taeho sat in his command chair and stared at the approaching alien ships. "We do nothing." Dr. Min Seo left her science station and approached the commander. "Sir, I do not understand. Are we surrendering?" "No. We are not surrendering. We are not running. We are not attacking. We are simply going to sit here and be quiet." The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. This was not how space battles were supposed to work. Every movie and book about space combat showed ships either fighting or fleeing. No one just sat still and waited. The Veltar fleet arrived and surrounded the human ships. Their massive vessels formed a perfect circle around the smaller human fleet. Weapon ports opened and energy began to build in their guns. The aliens were clearly ready to destroy anything that moved. Admiral Krixval transmitted again. "Your time is up, humans. Surrender now or face destruction." Bo-ram looked at her commander. "Sir, should I respond?" No response, complete radio silence. Minutes passed. The alien ships waited for some reaction from the humans. They expected begging or threats or desperate attempts to negotiate. Instead, they got nothing. The human ships simply floated in. Space like sleeping giants. Krixval tried again. "Humans, you will respond immediately. Acknowledge your surrender or we will open fire." Still no response from the human fleet. The ships continued to drift in their formation. Their engines produced The minimum power needed to maintain position. No weapons charged, no shields activated, no emergency signals sent. On the bridge of the Harmony, Engineer Wansik monitored all ship systems. "Commander, all systems are normal. The fleet is holding position perfectly. The aliens seem confused by our lack of response." Tactical Officer Taeyun studied the alien ships through her instruments. "Their weapon systems are charging, but they have not fired yet. They appear to be waiting for something. They are waiting for us to act like every other species they have conquered." Taiho explained quietly. "They expect fear or anger or desperation. We will give them none of those things." Hours passed. The Veltar ships maintained their circle around the human fleet. Their crews probably wondered why these strange new aliens refused to follow the Ori normal rules of space combat. In their long history of conquest, the Veltar had never encountered a species that simply ignored them. Chief Medical Officer Su Jin reported that stress levels among the human crew remained surprisingly low. "The crew seems calm, Commander. Your decision to remain silent appears to have a calming effect on everyone." As the first day ended, the standoff continued. The Veltar sent several more threatening messages. Each time, the humans remained silent. The alien admiral grew more frustrated with each unanswered demand. On the second day, small Veltar fighter craft began flying around the human ships. They came close enough to scan the hulls and peer through windows. The human crews watched them pass but made no aggressive moves. Some crew members even waved at the alien pilots. By the third day, news of the strange standoff began to spread through local space. Other alien species heard about the humans who refused to fight or surrender. Trading ships changed course to watch from a safe distance. Science vessels arrived to study this unusual first contact situation. The Veltar found themselves in an impossible position. They could not claim victory over ships that refused to acknowledge their presence. They could not retreat without losing face before the watching galaxy. They could not attack peaceful ships without appearing like bullies to other species. Admiral Krixaval grew more angry with each passing hour. His crew began to question why it was taking so long to deal with 12 small ships. The Veltar reputation for swift conquest was being damaged by humans who simply sat in space and did nothing. As the first week ended, Commander Taeho remained calm and confident in his decision. The human fleet continued its silent vigil in space. They had food and supplies for months. Their ships were designed for long missions far from Earth. Time was on their side. The galaxy watched and waited to see what would happen when an unstoppable force met an unmovable object. The humans had turned silence into their most powerful weapon. Dr. Minseo gathered the senior officers in the conference room aboard the Harmony. The alien fleet had been surrounding them for 2 weeks now, and many crew members wanted to understand why their commander chose silence over action. The conference room had a large window that showed 3 of the massive Veltar warships floating nearby like sleeping monsters. "I asked you all here to explain something important," Minseo began. "Many of you are confused about why we remain silent when these aliens threaten us. As the fleet xenopsychologist, I study how different minds work. The Veltar mind works very differently from the human mind." Captain Haijin leaned forward in her chair. "Please explain, Doctor. My crew is asking questions I cannot answer." Minseo activated a holographic display that showed the positions of both fleets. "The Veltar have conquered this part of space for thousands of years. Every species they meet responds to threats in one of 3 ways. They fight back, they run away, or they surrender immediately. The Veltar military system is built to handle these 3 responses." Engineer Wansik studied the display carefully. "But we are not doing any of those things." "Exactly. We are doing something completely new. We are refusing to play their game, by their rules. This creates what we call cognitive dissonance in their minds. They do not understand how to process our behavior." Chief Medical Officer Su Jin nodded slowly, like when someone expects you to be angry but you remain calm instead. It confuses them more than shouting would. "That is a perfect example," Minseo replied. "Human military philosophers have written about this for thousands of years. Sun 8. Tzu wrote that the greatest victory is won without fighting. Our ancestors knew that sometimes the most powerful response to aggression is no response at all. Lieutenant Boram looked out the window at the alien ships. But what if they decide to attack us anyway? We cannot fight ships that size. One Sikh stood up and walked to another display panel. Actually, we are stronger than they think. Our ships have something the Veltar do not understand. They see our hulls get damaged by their probe attacks, but they do not see our automatic repair systems working. The engineer brought up technical schematics of the human ships. Every human vessel has thousands of tiny repair robots built into the hull. When damage occurs, these robots immediately begin fixing it. They can seal breaches, replace damaged components, and restore ship systems without any crew intervention. Captain, Jamin looked surprised. I did not know our repair capabilities were so advanced. The Veltar do not know either, Wansik continued. They fire warning shots at our ships and see damage. Then they look again later and see the damage is gone. They probably think we have some kind of super advanced technology, but really it is just very good engineering. Dr. Min Seo returned to her explanation of Veltar psychology. Their entire culture is based on domination through fear. They show overwhelming force and expect immediate submission. When we refuse to be afraid, we break their psychological model of how the universe works. Navigation Officer Hyun Woo had been quiet during the discussion. Doctor, how long can we maintain this strategy? The crew is calm now, but what happens if this continues for months? Human beings are uniquely suited for this type of psychological warfare, Min Seo replied. We evolved on a planet where patience and endurance were survival traits. We can wait longer than most species can maintain aggressive postures. Tactical Officer Daeun brought up sensor readings of the Veltar fleet. The aliens are showing signs of stress. Their ship formations have become less precise. Their patrol schedules are irregular. Some of their smaller vessels have returned to what appears to be a supply base twice this week. They are burning resources, Wansik observed. Keeping a battle fleet on high alert requires enormous amounts of energy and supplies. We are using minimal power by comparison. Min Seo smiled at this observation. You see the brilliance of our position. They came here expecting a quick conquest. Instead, they are trapped in an expensive standoff with an enemy that refuses to acknowledge their existence. Captain Heejin began to understand the strategy. So every day we remain silent, we cost them more than it costs us. Much more. Their crews need combat rations, their weapons need power, their ships need fuel for maneuvering. We are simply drifting and living, normally. Communications Officer Boram reported that radio signals from across the local star systems were increasing. Doctor, I am monitoring transmissions from other species. Word about our standoff is spreading quickly. What are they saying? Min Seo asked. The translations are rough, but they seem very interested in these humans who do not fear the Veltar. Some are calling us brave. Others say we are crazy. A few think we have secret weapons that make us confident. Dr. Min Seo laughed softly. Our secret weapon is the most human trait of all. We are stubborn. When humans believe something is right, we can be incredibly persistent. Engineer Wansik brought up another technical display. There is something else the Veltar do not understand about our ships. We designed them for exploration missions lasting many years. Our life support systems, food production, and manufacturing capabilities are far superior to military vessels. What does that mean practically? Captain Jamin asked. It means we can sit here for years if necessary. Our ships can produce their own food, recycle all waste, manufacture replacement parts, and even expand our living spaces if needed. We are completely self-sufficient. Tactical Officer Daeun looked impressed. The Veltar probably have supply lines stretching back to their home bases. Every day they stay here costs them resources they cannot replace locally. Dr. Min Seo concluded her explanation. The Veltar expected to conquer us in hours. Instead, they are discovering that humans cannot be conquered by force alone. We are showing them that true strength comes from conviction, not from the size of your guns. The senior officers sat quietly for several minutes, processing what they had learned. The strategy began to make sense. By refusing to fight, flee, or surrender, they were forcing the Veltar into an impossible situation. Captain Hyejin finally spoke. "Doctor, what happens next? How does this end?" "That depends on how long the Veltar can afford to keep their fleet here. Eventually, they will have to choose between admitting defeat and escalating to more extreme measures. Either choice will cost them greatly." Wonsik checked his technical readouts again. "Our ships remain in perfect condition. All systems are operating normally. We can maintain this position indefinitely." Navigation Officer Hyun Woo studied the star charts. "Doctor, other species are starting to arrive in this system. We have identified at least 7 different ship designs watching from the outer planets." "The galaxy is taking notice," Min Seo replied. "Word is spreading that a small, human fleet has stopped the mighty Veltar hegemony simply by sitting quietly in space. This story will be remembered for generations." As the meeting ended, each officer returned to their duties with a better understanding of their situation. They were not helpless victims waiting for rescue. They were participants in a new kind of warfare where silence was their strongest weapon and patience was their greatest shield. The human fleet continued its quiet vigil in space, while the galaxy watched and wondered what would happen next. Admiral Crixeval stood on the command deck of his flagship and stared at the human ships with growing fury. 3 weeks had passed since his fleet arrived to claim these intruders, and still they sat in stubborn silence. His crew whispered among themselves about the strange aliens who refused to acknowledge Veltar superiority. This was becoming embarrassing. "Admiral, we have received new orders from High Command," reported his communications officer. "Admiral Vorthak is bringing the 3rd Battle Group to assist with the human problem." Crixeval's forearms clenched into fists. Requesting reinforcements made him look weak before his superiors. But these humans had left him no choice. 3 weeks of threats and demonstrations had produced no results. The small human fleet continued to drift in perfect formation, engines barely running, completely ignoring the most powerful military force in this sector of space. "How long until Vorthak arrives?" he asked. 2 days, Admiral." On the human ship, Tranquility, Captain Hyejin watched through her bridge window as more Veltar vessels jumped into the system. The alien reinforcements were even larger than the original ships. Their hulls bristled with weapon systems that could probably destroy planets. Yet she felt no fear. The human strategy was working exactly as Commander Taeho had predicted. "Captain, the new alien ships are taking positions around our fleet," reported her tactical officer. "The Veltar now have 37 warships surrounding us." Hyejin smiled calmly. 37 ships to handle 12 humans who have not fired a single shot. I wonder what their military history books will say about this battle. Lieutenant. Boram had been monitoring communications from across the galaxy for weeks. The signals were becoming more frequent and more interesting. She brought her latest reports to Commander Taeho on the Harmony. "Sir, I am receiving transmissions from at least 15 different species now. They are all talking about us. Some are asking their governments to send observers. Others are questioning whether the Veltar are as powerful as they claim." Taeho nodded thoughtfully. "What else are you hearing?" "The Ethran Republic has dispatched a science vessel to study our first contact methods. The Zeph Collective is sending traders who want to meet the species that stopped the Veltar without firing a weapon. There are ships coming from all over this part of the galaxy. And what are the Veltar saying to each other?" Boram looked at her translation readouts. Their internal communications show frustration and confusion. Some of their captains are asking Admiral Crixeval why it is taking so long to deal with us. Others are requesting permission to return to base for supplies. On the science vessel, Serenity, Captain Jamin studied the alien fleet through his advanced sensors. What he discovered was very interesting. The Veltar ships were showing clear signs of strain from maintaining constant battle readiness. "Engineering, this is the captain. I need a report on the alien fleet's energy consumption." Engineer Wonsik had been monitoring the Veltar ships since the standoff began. "Captain, their energy usage is enormous. Those big ships need constant power for weapons, shields, life support, and maneuvering. Based on my calculations, they are using 50 times more energy than our entire fleet. How long can they maintain that level of consumption? If they have normal supply lines, maybe 2 more weeks before they need to return to base for refueling. But that is assuming they do not actually use their weapons. Captain Jamin realized something important. The Veltar had not fired their main guns even once during the entire standoff. They had used only small probe attacks and warning shots. Their most powerful weapons remained charged but unused. Wansik, why do you think they have not used their heavy weapons? The engineer thought for a moment. Maybe because they know the galaxy is watching. Destroying peaceful exploration ships with planet-killer weapons might damage their reputation with other species. The human fleet had inadvertently created a trap for the Veltar. They could not attack without looking like bullies, but they could not retreat without admitting defeat. Every day they stayed made them look weaker and cost them more resources. Admiral Vorthak arrived with his battle group and immediately demanded a meeting with Krixval. The two Veltar commanders met on the flagship while their crews watched. Nervously, "Explain to me how 12 primitive ships have stopped 2 of our finest battle groups," Vorthak demanded. Krixval struggled to find words. "They refuse to respond to our demands. They will not fight, surrender, or flee. They simply sit there and ignore us. Have you tried destroying one of their ships as an example?" "The galaxy is watching, Admiral. 17 different species have ships observing this confrontation. If we destroy peaceful vessels without provocation, it could unite other species against us." Vorthak studied the human ships through the main display. They looked so small and helpless compared to the massive Veltar warships. Yet somehow these tiny vessels had created the largest military standoff in recent galactic history. "What do our intelligence reports say about human capabilities?" "Their technology appears limited but extremely reliable. Their ships show damage from our probe attacks but somehow repair themselves completely within hours. Their crew appears calm and disciplined. They show no signs of stress or fear." Dr. Minseo continued her psychological analysis of the situation from her laboratory. On the Harmony, the Veltar behavior patterns were becoming very predictable. Each escalation followed the same basic pattern. Show more force, make louder threats, wait for submission, then grow frustrated when submission did not come. "Commander, I believe we are approaching a critical point," she reported to Tejo. "The Veltar have committed enormous resources to this confrontation. They cannot afford to maintain this force level much longer without weakening their control over other systems. What do you recommend, Doctor?" "We continue exactly as we have been. Every day we remain calm and silent makes their position more difficult. They are discovering that humans cannot be intimidated, and that discovery is spreading throughout the galaxy." Navigation Officer Hyunwoo brought disturbing news to the bridge. "Commander, my sensors are detecting the approach of Veltar super heavy battle cruisers. These ships are equipped with quantum disruptor weapons that can destroy entire moons." The crew looked worried for the first time since the standoff began. Quantum disruptors were weapons of mass destruction, rarely used except against major military targets. Tejo remained calm. "All ships maintain current position. No change in status." "Sir, those weapons could kill everyone in our fleet instantly. Then we will die quietly," Tejo replied. "If the Veltar choose to murder peaceful explorers in front of the entire galaxy, that choice will follow them forever. Sometimes dying with dignity accomplishes more than living in fear." The arrival of superweapons changed the nature of the standoff. Now the galaxy watched to see if the Veltar would cross a line that could never be uncrossed. The humans continued their silent vigil, knowing that their calm behavior in the face of ultimate threats was their most powerful weapon. Word spread through quantum communications networks faster than ships could travel. The humans who sat in silence while facing annihilation became a symbol of courage that inspired other species across the galaxy. The Veltar had wanted a quick conquest, but instead found themselves trapped in a test of wills they could not win without destroying their own reputation forever. President Yu Jin sat in her office on Earth and watched the live quantum transmission from the standoff site. 6 weeks had passed since her exploration fleet encountered the Veltar, and the situation had grown beyond anything she could have imagined. The small conference room was filled with advisors and military officials, all trying to understand what was happening in deep space. "Madam President, we now have confirmation that 43 different species are observing the confrontation," reported Admiral Tae Young, head of Earth's small defense fleet. This has become the largest peaceful gathering in recorded galactic history. Eugene studied the tactical display showing hundreds of ships from dozens of different civilizations positioned around the standoff zone. Some maintained respectful distances, while others had moved close enough to scan both human and Veltar vessels. The variety of ship designs was incredible, representing technologies and cultures from across known space. "What are they saying? About us?" she asked. Communications Director Haiwan consulted her translation reports. The reactions are mixed but mostly positive. The Ethran Republic calls us unexpectedly wise for a new species. The Zeph Collective wants to establish trade relations immediately. The Keeper Archive has requested permission to interview our crew about human philosophy. And the negative reactions? Some species think we are either very brave or very stupid. A few believe we must have secret weapons to be so confident. The Veltar allies are demanding that other species stop interfering in their territorial expansion. Jin realized that her people had accidentally stumbled into galactic politics at the highest level. Earth had no military capable of fighting even a single Veltar ship. Yet somehow 12 human vessels had created a crisis that threatened to reshape the balance of power in this entire sector of space. "Admiral, what is the status of our fleet?" "All ships remain operational and in perfect formation. Commander Tejo reports that crew morale is actually improving as time passes. The crew seems to take pride in their role as peaceful resistors." In the standoff zone, the situation was becoming increasingly complex. The Ethran science vessel Wisdom's Edge had positioned itself between the human and Veltar fleets. Its captain, a scholarly being named Ethmura, transmitted a message to both sides. "This is Captain Ethmura of the Ethran Republic. We are here to observe and document this historic first contact. We request that all parties avoid actions that could harm scientific personnel." Admiral Crixval was furious at this interference. "Ethran vessel, you will withdraw immediately. This is a Veltar military operation." Ethmura's response was calm and measured. "Admiral, this system is not within any recognized Veltar territory. Under galactic law, we have the right to observe peaceful contact between species. The humans have committed no hostile acts." Similar exchanges were happening across multiple communication channels. The Zeph trade convoy Prophet's Promise had arrived with diplomatic credentials from 12 different worlds. Their captain demanded the right to negotiate with the humans for future trade agreements. Captain Boram on the Harmony was overwhelmed by the communication traffic. "Commander, I am receiving contact requests from 37 different species. They all want to establish formal relations with Earth." Commander Tejo realized that his fleet had become more than explorers. They were now Earth's de facto diplomatic mission to the galaxy. Every decision they made would affect humanity's future relationships with alien civilizations. "Boram, record a message for transmission to all observing vessels." "Ready to record, sir." "This is Commander Tejo of the United Earthship Harmony, representing the people of Earth. We came to this region of space in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship with other civilizations. We have no territorial claims and no aggressive intentions. We ask only for the right to travel freely and explore the wonders of the universe." The message was transmitted on all frequencies and immediately translated into dozens of languages. Within hours, responses began arriving from across the galaxy. Most were positive, welcoming Earth to the community of spacefaring species. The Veltar position was becoming more difficult by the day. What had started as a simple territorial expansion was now a galactic incident with political implications, far beyond their original plans. Admiral Vorthak met again with Admiral Crixval to discuss their increasingly impossible situation. "The High Command is receiving protests from the Cosmic Assembly. They are demanding we explain our aggressive actions against a peaceful exploration mission." "These humans have made us look weak," Crixval replied angrily. 6 weeks, and we cannot make 12 small ships acknowledge our authority. The problem is bigger than that. Other species are questioning our right to claim territory by force. The Etherans are proposing new laws about peaceful space travel. The Zeph want economic sanctions against worlds that attack traders and explorers. The Veltar had built their empire on fear and overwhelming force. But fear only worked when potential victims believed they had no other options. The humans had shown the galaxy that there was another way to respond to aggression: complete non-cooperation. On Earth, President Yujin received an unexpected communication from the Cosmic Assembly, a loose confederation of the galaxy's major civilizations. Assembly Speaker Quoren, a dignified being from the ancient Keeper species, requested a direct conversation with Earth's leader. President Yujin, your species has created a most interesting situation. We would like to propose formal membership in the Cosmic Assembly for Earth. Yujin was shocked. Earth had been in space for only a few decades and had never imagined joining galactic civilization so quickly. Speaker Quoren, we are honored by your proposal, but Earth is very new to interstellar travel. We may not be ready for such responsibility. Your fleet's behavior suggests otherwise. In 6 weeks, they have demonstrated wisdom, patience, and courage that many species take centuries to develop. The galaxy needs examples of peaceful strength. Navigation Officer Hyunwoo detected new arrivals in the system almost daily. Commander, we now have over 300 ships from 47 different species observing our situation. This location has become an unofficial diplomatic meeting place. Dr. Minseo was fascinated by the psychological dynamics developing around the standoff. Commander, we have created something unprecedented. The galaxy is having a conversation about the nature of power and the rights of peaceful travelers. Our silence has become the loudest voice in that conversation. Engineer One-Sik reported that the Veltar fleet was showing serious signs of strain. Sir, their energy consumption has decreased significantly. They have powered down non-essential systems on most ships. Several vessels have departed, probably to refuel. The economics of the standoff were working in humanity's favor. Every day cost the Veltar enormous resources while the human fleet operated on minimal power. More importantly, every day damaged Veltar prestige while increasing human reputation. Captain, Heejin received an unexpected visitor when a small Ethran shuttle requested permission to dock with her ship. The alien scientist wanted to study human psychology and social structures. Captain, we find your species remarkable. How do you maintain such calm in the face of overwhelming force? Hai-Jin thought carefully before answering. We believe that doing the right thing is more important than doing the safe thing. Sometimes standing for your principles requires accepting great risks. The Ethran scientist made careful notes. This philosophy will be of great interest to our social researchers. We have observed many species, but few with such strong conviction, combined with such peaceful methods. Word of these interactions spread throughout the galaxy. The humans were not just refusing to be intimidated, they were sharing their philosophical approaches with other species. This cultural exchange was exactly what the Cosmic Assembly hoped to encourage among member civilizations. The standoff had transformed from a military confrontation into a diplomatic revolution that would reshape galactic politics for generations to come. Admiral Krixaval stood before the quantum communicator in his private quarters and faced the most difficult conversation of his military career. High Command wanted answers about why the 3rd Battle Group was still tied up in a standoff with 12 human ships after 47 days. Admiral, the High Council is losing patience. Supreme Commander Zakthul's image flickered on the screen. This situation has become an embarrassment to the entire hegemony. Resolve it immediately. Supreme Commander, the situation is more complex than it appears. The galaxy is watching our every move. 49 species now have observers in this system. Any aggressive action could unite them against us. I do not care about observers. Destroy the human ships and disperse the crowd. Krixval's blood ran cold. Sir, that would mean using quantum disruptors against peaceful exploration vessels in front of the entire galaxy. The political consequences could be catastrophic. The consequences of looking weak are worse. You have 24 hours to end this standoff. Use whatever force is necessary. The transmission ended, leaving Krixval alone with an impossible decision. He could follow orders and probably start a galactic war, or he could find another solution and risk his career. Either choice would end badly for the Veltar hegemony. On the human ship Harmony, Commander Tejo sensed that events were approaching. A climax. The alien fleet had been repositioning ships for 3 days, moving their most powerful vessels into attack formation. Long-range sensors detected the energy signatures of weapons capable of destroying entire worlds. Commander, I am receiving increased chatter on Veltar communication channels, Lieutenant Boram reported. The translations are rough, but they seem to be discussing target priorities and firing solutions. Dr. Mincio looked worried for the first time since the standoff began. Sir, my analysis suggests the Veltar are under extreme pressure from their superiors. They may be preparing to escalate beyond conventional weapons. Tejo remained calm as he studied the tactical display. The human fleet was completely surrounded by alien warships that could annihilate them in seconds. Yet he felt no fear, only a strange sense of peace. All ships maintain current position. If this is our final day, we will meet it with dignity. Chief Medical Officer Su Jin monitored crew vital signs across the fleet. Commander, stress levels remain surprisingly low throughout all ships. The crew seems to have accepted whatever outcome awaits us. That is because we know we have already won, Tejo replied quietly. We came here to explore and learn. Instead, we have taught the galaxy something important about the nature of true strength. The next morning brought an unexpected development. Admiral Crixval transmitted a direct message to Commander Tejo, requesting a private meeting aboard the human flagship. It was the first direct communication between the two commanders since the standoff began. Commander Tejo, I request permission to board your vessel with a small diplomatic party. I believe we need to discuss our situation. Tejo was surprised by the formal and respectful tone. Permission granted, Admiral. You and 2 companions may board the Harmony in 1 hour. The transfer took place under the watchful sensors of hundreds of alien observers. A Veltar shuttle approached the human ship and docked without incident. Admiral Crixval and 2 junior officers were escorted to the Harmony's conference room. Seeing the massive alien commander up close was impressive. Crixval stood nearly 3 meters tall, his armored skin scarred from countless battles. His forearms and predatory features clearly marked him as a being bred for warfare. Yet when he spoke, his voice carried a tone of weary respect. Commander, Tejo, in 40 years of military service, I have conquered 17 star systems and subjugated dozens of species. I have never encountered anything like your response to our demands. Tejo gestured for the alien to sit at the conference table. Admiral, we never intended to challenge your authority. We simply refuse to be bullied. Your refusal has created an impossible situation for my people. We cannot retreat without appearing weak, but we cannot attack without appearing barbaric. You have trapped us more effectively than any weapon could. Dr. Mincio had prepared carefully for this meeting. Admiral, perhaps the trap is of your own making. Your people assume that strength requires others to fear you. But true strength comes from others choosing to respect you. Crixval considered her words carefully. Your species thinks very differently from ours. We measure power by the ability to destroy. You seem to measure it by the ability to endure. Both perspectives have value, Tejo replied diplomatically. But destruction is temporary, while endurance is permanent. We came to this region of space hoping to learn from other civilizations. We have learned much from you. What have you learned from us? We have learned that fear is not the only foundation for order. We have learned that patience can defeat aggression. Most importantly, we have learned that the galaxy contains many different approaches to existence. The conversation continued for several hours. Slowly, Admiral Crixval began to understand that the humans represented something genuinely new in galactic politics. They were not another military power seeking territory or resources. They were explorers seeking knowledge and friendship. Commander, I must ask directly, what do you want from this encounter? We want the same thing we wanted 47 days ago. The right to travel freely through space, to explore new worlds, and to meet new civilizations. We want to be left in peace to pursue our mission. And if we grant you this right, what then? Then we continue our journey and you continue yours. Perhaps someday our paths will cross again under better circumstances. Admiral Krixval realized that the humans were offering him a way out of his impossible situation. By granting them passage rights, he could end the standoff without admitting defeat. The humans would get what they wanted, while the Veltar could claim they had established diplomatic relations with a new species. Commander, I am authorized to offer you official passage rights through Veltar space. In exchange, we would request formal recognition of our territorial boundaries by your government. Tejo smiled for the first time in weeks. I believe those terms are acceptable to both our peoples. The agreement was announced simultaneously to both fleets and all observing vessels. After 47 days of silent confrontation, the standoff was ending with a handshake rather than bloodshed. News of the peaceful resolution spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. The humans who had faced down the mighty Veltar hegemony without firing a single shot became a symbol of hope for smaller civilizations everywhere. President Yu Jin received formal invitations to establish embassies on 17 different worlds. The Cosmic Assembly voted unanimously to grant Earth full membership with all rights and privileges. Humanity had earned a place at the galactic table not through conquest, but through courage. Commander Tejo stood on the bridge of the Harmony and watched the Veltar fleet depart in good order. The alien ships had maintained their dignity while acknowledging human rights. It was a victory for everyone involved. Navigator, set course for the Kepler Nebula. Our mission of exploration continues. The human fleet resumed its journey through the stars, but now they traveled with a new designation from the Cosmic Assembly. Peaceful passage guaranteed. Every civilized species in the galaxy would recognize their right to explore in peace. Engineer. Wansik made a final log entry about the ship's systems. All repairs completed successfully. The fleet is operating at 100% efficiency. The 47 days of combat readiness actually improved our automated systems through constant testing. Dr. Min Seo compiled her psychological analysis of the encounter. The Veltar learned that humans cannot be intimidated through displays of force. More importantly, the galaxy learned that there are alternatives to submission or violence when facing aggression. Chief Medical Officer Su Jin noted that crew stress levels had actually decreased during the standoff. The crew found strength in standing for their principles. Facing a seemingly impossible situation with dignity gave them confidence they did not know they possessed. As the human fleet disappeared into hyperspace, the story of their silent victory began to spread throughout the galaxy. Species that had lived in fear of aggressive neighbors suddenly realized they had other options. The humans had proven that sometimes the greatest victories are won by those who refuse to fight on their enemies' terms. The galaxy had learned that when humans sat in silence, it was not surrender or defeat. It was strategy, patience, and an unshakable belief that doing the right thing mattered more than doing the easy thing. In the end, silence had spoken louder than any weapon ever could.